Good morning and welcome to Tristardiggin. I appreciate you joining us today. Today is going to be a great day. Today is the first day that I'm going to get to use the 313 on a job where I'm doing some land clearing. You've seen it on one other video where I was loading some dirt in a truck and hauling it. So today is the day I'm moving that to a job site where we're going to be clearing some pretty good sized oak trees, clearing a house side and then building a pad for a house. Probably take 3 or 4 days, 5 days maybe to do this job, but we got to get there first. So I'm going to be loading up the 313 and the D5 cat dozer back here. And remember in the last video or two I talked about the 2D grade control system that I put on there. So before I haul that, I'm also going to take those towers off of it, take the laser catchers off of it and put those back in the box. A little bit of update on Anchor, the dump truck. If you remember in some past videos, I had a problem with the steering gearbox on that. Right there was leaking, and Lucas now has got that repaired and replaced that. And also the best part, he fixed the air conditioner on it. Well, I'm gonna say he gassed it up and put some dye in it, and once it starts leaking again, which we're obviously knowing it's going to do, we'll be able to use a light and find that leak where it's coming out at, and then he can get that leak stopped on it. But having air conditioner on Anchor is a plus. Today's gonna be 97 degrees. Heat index over 100, so that's going to be great. Hey, let's get the machines loaded up and let's get going. All right, we have made it to the job site location where I'm going to unload. I've been to this property several times before. There's several videos from this property, and the way you get to it is up this driveway, up a steep hill, a switchback, up another steep hill, a switchback, and then up to the property where we're going to be working at building that house site and clearing those trees. Okay, we got the 313 sitting there on the side of the road, and let's get these ramps up and go get the dozer. Okay, I've got the dozer and the excavator here and got those ready to go for in the morning. And what the project is, I just kind of give you a snapshot of it before I get started in the morning. All these big trees, and this was kind of sitting on a little knob right here. Let me climb up on the dozer, you can probably see it just a little bit better. But the plan is to build a house up here. So what I've got to do is there's a perimeter of trees that have got to come down all the way around where the pad's going to be built. And then once I get all those out, push off all this vegetation, leaves, sticks, and all this junk that's laying around, we'll determine the elevation, and then we'll start digging dirt. And then we'll get that pad down on grade. I forget now what the dimensions of the pad is, but I'll go over that in the morning with the owners and see which trees come out and which don't. So I will see y'all in the morning. I have made it back for the first day's work and met with the property owners there for just a few minutes and got a game plan and idea of what we're going to do. And it's going to be a basement dig, a 4-foot deep basement, and then there's a walkout on 2 sides of it. So we got to clear a lot of trees in here. So there is a lot of work to do here. I estimate 5 to 7 days to get all these trees down and get this basement dug out and build the pad for the house. All right, we got the 313 going here. Let's get it started up. And you'll see this 313 has an auto warm-up system, and I don't know where it went. I guess it's going to do it on its own. But anyway, we got the 313 going. Oh, there it comes. So you hit the check mark. It says place bucket on the ground. Okay. Now then, it's going through the auto warm-up system, and get this machine ready to go. Now then, let's get the dozer fired up and ready to go. Oil's good. Hydraulic oil is good. With the dozer getting fired up here, and this is the control panel, the screen for the 2D grade system. I'm excited about this. This will be the first job we use this on. As a matter of fact, guys from SciTech will be coming on this job at some point and showing me how to set all this up and use this. All right, we got the dozer fired up, and we are almost ready to go. The heat index today is going to be 102, and I'm not looking forward to running the chainsaw, I'll be honest with you. Okay, let's get the dozer moved down here out of the way. I don't know what I just hit, if that's a rock or a stump or what that is. That was a pile of rocks. Okay, let's ease through here. So kind of give you perspective, the dozer's parked there now, the excavator's up there, all this trees have to come out. We'll walk down here just for a second so that you see and that I see where all this stuff needs to go. And basically just gonna do a push all that material up there down into here. And it's a pretty good clear area down in there to get to. We did talk about putting it on the other side of the road there, but there's too many trees in the way. It'd be tough to get that stuff in those trees without messing the trees up too. So this is the dead trees she was talking about, that Sandy was talking about. So all that material is going down in here. And there's a bunch of it. Let's get started. Okay, here we go. Very first tree taken down with the 313. And you know, it's a dead tree, so I'm really not looking forward to this one. This is definitely a different machine than the 308. There is no way to compare this to the 308. It's just a different animal altogether. Absolutely amazing. Okay, let's see if we can get this one to come down without tearing anything up. Down she goes. I didn't really want to go into that other tree, but it did. And you can see how dead that tree is. It actually broke off on the way down. That could have been bad. Look at there. It just picks that up like it ain't nothing. I love it. One thing I'm definitely going to have to be conscious of is tail swing, because I am not used to the tail swing hitting stuff. Definitely be careful with that. Right here in front of me, this right here is why dead trees are so dangerous, because that top has already broken out at some point. And it doesn't take much to bump a dead tree, and you can knock something like that down on top of you in just a minute. And that's the tree we're looking at, and you see that branch right there broke off. So there's a few more that can break off. I'm going to try to push it over that way to keep it from hitting the machine. Widowmakers, as they'd be called. Okay, one more dig right there. Cut that root if we can. Yep. Good, so we should be able to push this one gently over, I hope. I was afraid of right there. Oh, once you get the top of that tree swaying, that's not good. That's not good. All right, it's swaying pretty good, but I'm gonna see if I can get some more roots cut on it before I try that again. All right, let's try this again. Yay! Look what a root on that thing, my goodness. No wonder it didn't want to come down. Kind of weird in this machine. I keep reaching for the blade to raise and lower the blade, and I tell you right now, I already missed the blade. But I don't have one, and it would be handy, but boy, this thing just absolutely rips roots in two. All right, let's see if we can get this one to fall. Oh yeah. Actually, I don't really want it to go that way. Let's pull it this way. Now then. Got to get started on getting the stuff pushed down in there now. What I'm going to do is continue working on clearing some of these trees. So I'll get some of that down and get it cut up and push it around a little bit, and then be back for an update in just a little bit. Get these few stumps right here tossed out of the woods where I can get them with a dozer, and then I'll be ready to push this stuff off down the hill. Well, I about rolled that stump right into the machine. what you want right there. Get you a big pile like that, push her down in here and the rest of it. If you line it up right, you can do that. I don't know if that's going to reach the dozer or not. I sure hope not. Boy, it was close. Oh, I should have done that. That was close. Okay, lesson learned without tearing anything up. I had the dozer too close. I typically always park stuff in the way, and I don't understand it. It's every day I do that. But had I not got that tree to push just a little bit, the limbs would have struck it, but we did hit it a little bit. Wow, got to be more careful, more careful. Here we go. No, we don't. Still attached. Not the camera, not the camera. I gotta get this one going a different direction or y'all are gonna be toast. Stand by. Danger zone. Oh, I think I ought to move the camera. I think I need to move the camera. I think I need to move the camera. Hit y'all. I killed the camera and the tripod. Well, I think yous are still recording, maybe. But y'all don't look good. Y'all are done. Like I said, I should have moved the camera. Y'all didn't do too well. I'm recording right now on the GoPro 8, which is the old GoPro, because this is what y'all look like after the crash. Man, I wish I'd moved that camera. Anyway, you can see the screen on the GoPro 10. It is done. Yeah, that thing is a mangled mess. The receiver, which is supposed to be attached to that for the wireless microphone, I couldn't even find the receiver. I do still have the microphone, which was on me. So you see the tripod is a wreck. This is the cable that I had ordered a new one for because y'all wasn't able to hear too well. So you ain't got to worry about that no more. That's done too. I think maybe the media mod is the only thing that survived. And I won't know that until I test it after I get a new GoPro. But that thing must be pretty durable because it took a direct hit right on top here and busted that screen all to pieces. I sure hope that all the media that I had on that card, which was in the GoPro 10, is still good. So anyway, you live and learn, and that's a valuable lesson to learn right there. So probably not going to film anymore today. Kind of cause my heart's broken over that. So we'll work on it this rest of the day, and I'll be back on Monday. Today's Thursday, and we'll take off tomorrow. Spend some time with the grandson, and I'll be back on Monday and give y'all a report. Well, good morning, and welcome back to day 2. So when I left you on Friday, I was a little bit discouraged. A little bit of update now on the GoPro. The GoPro 10 is down. The wireless transmitter for the microphone system is gone. I never did find it. And the tripod is down. So over the weekend I bought a new microphone, so we got that working again, and should have the problem fixed where you only had one channel on the audio working. I think it's the left channel working, right channel wasn't working. That was an audio cable on the old system, so that should be fixed now. You should be getting that pretty good. And so I didn't get to work a full day Friday either. I guess this is my gripe session. I didn't get to work a full day Friday either because worked about 6 hours. I got a neighbor call, said I had a cow having problems out in the field, and by the time I got home, cow was gone. So anyway, I had that dealt with over the weekend, but we are back to work. It is Tuesday, and yesterday I spent working on some equipment. Had Lucas, the mechanic, working on some stuff, the JCB dump truck, fixing the air conditioner on 308, and Lee and his family, I mentioned this in an earlier video, Lee and his family came down from Missouri for the 308. He's actually working today with that machine, doing a mulching job. Today we're going to get started back on this job, and I've got to get the 313 filled up, put some government juice in it, the DEF fluid, and the dozer's good to go. I got both of them warmed up a few minutes ago. Enough jabbering, let's get to work. Well, you just thought I was through fussing. I got one more thing to fuss about. That happened on Friday. So I got the chainsaw stuck in a tree and I was pulling on it, and if you can tell right there, I broke that handle cleaning too. But I do have a new one coming. I thought it was going to be here yesterday on Monday, but so I think tomorrow that handle's coming in. I'll be able to fix that. Needless to say, Friday Friday was rough, but today's a new day and it's going to get better. All right, we are back in position here and ready to get the day started. Start off by ripping out one of these little bitty trees and move on to some bigger ones. One thing I haven't mentioned yet in this machine that I absolutely love is this travel pedal. So when you push that pedal forward, it keeps the tracks working together, moving forward. If you need to steer, then you use these. So that works for forward and reverse. If you're just tracking straight, you can push that pedal and put it into 2-speed, which speeds up the track, which is right here, and you move from the turtle to the rabbit, and this thing will flat out move. But I love that travel pedal. Well, let's get this tree ready to knock down and get several of them down on the ground, and then we'll get back to doing some chainsaw work. My favorite thing to do. Persuasion. Great, that got hung up in the forks of a big tree, but we'll get it down, no problem. Reach in there and grab the root ball and pull it out of that caught tree. Alright, let's try to get this one down. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I've either got water or hydraulic fluid leaking out from the hose up here. Let's go see what that's about. I hope that's just water's trapped in something. Yeah. I don't know where it's coming from, but there's water dripping out of that hose. Let's get back to work. Let me show you the problem I've got. So I pushed that tree down and it's wedged in this tree. And then on the other side, I just pushed that limb right there, which is a big limb. And it's caught, it won't come this way because of that tree. So I've got to push that limb off, go back over there, and then get that tree, try to follow it right in there. All right, we got it down finally. Didn't tear nothing up. That's a good thing. All right, I'm gonna get the excavator up here out of the way and get the chainsaw out and get a little chainsaw work going and get those cleaned up. Chainsaw work, I love it. Not really. Okay, it's lunchtime and I'm gonna take a break here, and where the excavator's sitting up there, about 50 feet behind that or so, I started up a yellow jacket's nest, and there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of those things swarming the ground. So that means it's a good time for me to take a break, because I can't run the chainsaw in there. I probably actually have to drag the trees out of that area so I can even cut them up. Also, Lee just called and he said he thinks he's got that job done on that mulching. So we're gonna take a break here for a second for lunch and run down and check out his job and see how that's looking. All right, I made it up here to the job site where Lee's working, and it's like a narrow strip down through there. It widened out down that creek, and then come back around and through here now where Lee's working. We got a little bit of area down there in that corner where the property lines meet, where you couldn't get into with the machine. So we're just doing some hand work, pulling stuff away from trees and taking a chainsaw and cleaning up around the trees so that you know, it looks good, because not able to get to it with the mulcher. So like this right here, all this loose stuff, we'll drag that out into one last mulch pile, and then Lee will mulch it up. But that's Lee, and the new owner of the 308 and the mulcher. And I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna hire him and keep him here, or if he's going back to Missouri. I think his wife and kids and Lee will be interested in going back to Missouri tonight. So anyway, we're gonna work here a little bit and get this cleaned up, and I'll video mulching this pile here when we get ready to do that. Right there, and between the tracks, and that right there will slip a track in no time when you try to turn it against a stump like that. Doesn't look steep, but you'll see in just a second. He's coming up through there. That is steep part of the driveway. He must be done. He's crawling out. Looks good though. Say bye-bye to the Cat 308. It's gone. All right, let's take a look around now. He got all that mulched up, that pile we had there, and that ground is so uneven, and there's rock in it, and it's stumps, and that was a really difficult job to mulch, especially on a steep slope like it was. But he did an excellent job. This is the first mulching job he's actually done. It's the first time he's run that machine, and he did a really good job with it, getting it all cleaned up. Got all that handwork done, cleaned up them corners down in there, so it looks real nice. Lee, what do you think for your first mulching job?
Pretty nice.
Pretty nice, he said. You just need, what, about 100 more jobs like that to pay for it or so? But
Or so.
yeah, or so. So, yeah, it looks good for his first job doing mulching. It's a learning curve, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a learning curve on a steep hill like that.
Yeah, I gave you
a challenge.
I gave you a tough job because of the way the terrain is there, as steep as it was. But you did a fantastic job with it. We're gonna get this parking area and driveway cleaned up. We're gonna get the machine up to the top, and I think his uncle's coming to pick it up on Thursday. Is that right?
Yeah.
So they'll be heading back to Missouri probably tonight or tomorrow. They're gonna head back to Missouri tomorrow, and this machine will be leaving on Thursday. I've made it back to the job site now, where the house pad's gonna be, and clearing this land. Let's check on these yellow jackets and see what the situation is with them. That's going to make a decision of whether or not I can get to this tree or have to drag that tree out. Well, they're not swarming like they were. I see 1 or 2 stragglers in here. I don't know if they've moved on or if they're just waiting to get me. But anyway, I'm still going to be on the safe side. I'll go ahead and work those trees up over there, and then I'm going to drag this tree out of here to keep from getting eaten up by these yellow jackets. No, this is prime territory for yellow jackets. I was wondering when I was going to get into a nest of them. I'm thankful that I was in the machine when I did it, and not out here on the ground running a chainsaw getting stung. Let's get these trees worked up and keep on going. Okay, at the end of day 2, let's take a look around and see what we got done. Really hadn't 2 full days. Yesterday was 6 hours and today's 6.5, but I got now all those trees down, and got maybe 1 more right there, and then these are going to have to be saw cut and got out because the sewer system, septic tank's going down in that area, so those can't be dug out. I got to cut those down by hand and get them out of there. And then there's 3 or 4 more here, and that's about it as far as trees go. So then I took the dozer to it and slick it all off, and then we'll mark out the basement area and do that. But that's it for day 2. And after this message, stick around, because we're going to take a little drone flight that I've got set up here. I'm going to take off the porch here and fly down to the lake and do a little flying around as I close this part of the video. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that video there. The first part of that job, the first 2 days of it. I've already done a third day's work, and that video will be coming a little bit later. But in the meantime, my wife and I have taken a little bit of a time away here for the weekend. Today's Saturday, and we're up at the lake, and we'll spend the weekend here. And thankful for opportunities to get away like that and to spend a weekend, you know, by ourselves up at the lake. So that's working out good. And so what I want to talk about in this message is to talk about wives. And before I get myself in trouble, let me clarify what I am going to talk about. in regards as it comes to wives. My wife and I have been married now for 29 years, and we've learned to work through things and make things work, but only through the Spirit and power of the Lord. What makes a successful marriage? A successful marriage is based on a faith and trust in Jesus Christ on both parts of the spouses, and then a faith and trust in each other to be the husband or wife that we ought to be, as the Word would call us to be. What I want to talk about, I'm sure some of the men familiar with the Bible are probably wringing their hands right now saying, oh yeah, he's going to talk about Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22 through 25. And I am, but just for a very few seconds, because my main focus is not on the wives, but on the husbands. Yes, the wives have a responsibility in the marriage, and so do the men. And in saying that, I want to tell just a brief story. I was with a friend of mine some year or so ago, I guess, and we were talking about work and first one thing and another, and he began to tell me, you know, there's issues in the marriage, and he and his wife wasn't getting along too well. And he made this statement, which I thought was pretty bold, but quickly we began to talk about what really needed to happen. And he made this statement. He said, I don't know what's wrong with my wife. He said, I'm praying for her to change. And I said, hold up, hold on. You can't be praying for God to change your wife until you first ask God to change you. And that is important, because we may want our spouses to change, but it may be that we need to do the changing, that we need to make the changes, which would then allow change in the wife or the husband to take place, if first we recognize that we have faults and issues that we need to reconcile. So, you know, the Bible is very clear in Ephesians 5:22, and this is probably what some of you are thinking that I want to talk about. It talks about wives submitting to their own husband as to the Lord. And if we want that to happen, if we desire that in our marriage, then we first have to live up to the standard which God set in place. So in Ephesians 5:25, that's what I want to talk about mainly. And it says this. It says, so husbands, love your wives as Christ, it's important, as Christ loves the church. Well, how much did Christ love the church? Christ gave his life for the church. That's the love that we are to have towards our wives. And goes on and says, and gave himself for her. Meaning that Jesus Christ gave his life for the church so that he could save the church, so he could save us, that by placing our faith and trust in him and believing in Jesus Christ, we can have that salvation. Let me read to you what the notes say about this love for your wives. It says this, which is to love them with the same unreserved, selfless, and sacrificial love that Christ has for his church. Christ gave everything. Christ gave everything he had, including his own life, for the sake of his church, and that is the standard. That's the mark. That's the place that we ought to be as Christian men in serving our wives and being a blessing to our wives and being leaders for our wives and our family. That's the standard of sacrifice for a husband's love for his wife. That's what the commentary would say about that passage of Scripture, about husbands loving their wives as Christ loved the church. And to emphasize that just a little bit, in Matthew chapter 19, verse 6, it says this, so they are, speaking about marriage, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. That's God's plan and desire for marriage. I understand there are troubles and trials that come into marriages, and there are divorces, and Christian people have been through divorces. But it's God's plan for that marriage to work out. If there's trouble in your marriage or in my marriage, whatever the marriage is, God has a plan for that. And so God wants us to recognize each of our roles within that marriage. And so I just simply want to end with this and saying that the submission, talking about in verse 22 of chapter 5, the wife's submission, the submission is not the husband's to command. Listen, but for the wife to willingly and lovingly offer. The submission that God's word is calling for there is a submission for the wife to give. As a husband, we cannot command or demand that submission. That is her responsibility before God to do that. But listen, if we desire that, and we should, because that's what God's plan is, then listen, be the godly man and husband that your wife desires to fulfill God's plan for her life, as we as men fulfill the role that God has for our lives, and that is to love our wives as Christ loved the church. I hope this has been a blessing to you. I hope it's given you some strength and some encouragement. And most of all, I hope that you're a believer in Jesus Christ. I hope that you've placed your faith and trust in Him. And by doing so, you have an eternal life, a home, the Bible would say, a home eternal in the heavens. So God bless you, and I appreciate you watching.